What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today I am really excited to bring you all a pure Dragon Link deck profile. I have not messed with this deck much. The one other time I've showcased it was a really interesting blend with Synchro Fusionist, back when DPE was a thing. It was an Adventure Dragon Link blend, about 60 cards. I've never really had the chance to sit back and really mess with pure, and so that's where I'm at here, is a fairly pure build that I really am starting to enjoy and learn and really get the hang of. I'm not the best with Dragon Link. I know a lot of people have asked for it, but I wanted to finally get around to honoring that and showcase my take on it. So before we hop into it, a quick shout out to new public subs of the channel: Patrick, Master, Peak Builder, Andrew, and Kingston. Thank you all so much for joining. We are just a few away from 1K. That is absolutely insane. I have really crazy content planned for 1K, as well as a really cool giveaway plan for 1K. Please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. All that stuff really helps the channel and really helps the algorithm. But with all that said, we'll go ahead and hop right into the deck profile. Okay, starting off with the main deck here. Again, this is a standard 40 cards, maybe a bit of a cookie cutter list, but not exactly, I think, from what I've been experimenting with. Starting off, we have Triple Safer. This is probably the best starter in your deck. Does literally absolutely everything you need. Gets access to the black and white Chaos Dragon engine, as well as follow-up by banishing from grave. It just does everything. In that same realm, one white dragon and one black dragon. Collapse Serpent and Wyver Burster are insane. Really does just help the deck immensely. We are on a Bestial package here. We are on a smaller one Lubellion, one Druis Worm, one Magnamut, and one Saronir. Lubellion isn't needed, but I think it ultimately makes the deck better. In reality, if you want the best version possible, I think you really do need to shove out 4-3. But with cash still being in the format, my area has a lot more branded, so I think you can get away with a smaller Bestial engine. But still, it does help the deck incredibly. And if you're looking for just different ways to help you learn the deck for this is a really forgiving engine, I think, and helps you kind of compensate a good bit, so it fits well for me. But a Bestial engine is still really, really good nonetheless. Even if you're concerned with that, you could still always play a couple Magnamut, a couple Druis Worm, and not have to worry too much about the Lubellion, but it really does help and boost the ceiling of the deck quite a bit. For the Rockets, this one's pretty standard. One Absorrouter, double Tracer, and then just 1-in-1 of the Recharger and the Synchron. You don't need any other names in this. You can if you want. There's a few different ways you can exploit different things with rocket names by levels and stuff. But for the regular pure build where you're focusing more on either just link climbing or level 8 synchros, you don't need much other manipulation other than these. After that, we kind of have some power 1-ofs left in the deck. One Levianeer, pretty straightforward. One of the Chaos Dragon Armageddon. This card is nuts. I've never owned it until recently and started utilizing it. It's really crazy. It does come up enough that I think if you're planning to take this to at least a regional level event or higher, you definitely do want it. Same thing with Lubellion. But if you're just starting to experiment with the deck and learn and get used to it for local purposes, focus on just like a bigger Bestial package without Lubellion. Focus on other techs, other hand traps to really get used to combos. And then when you feel like it's in a good spot or you feel you really want to pursue this deck fully, then invest in those $50 to $60+ cards. But it's still really good nonetheless. It's absolutely nuts. One Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and just one Noctivision, and then the last extender is going to be one Destrudo, and then the last rounding out the monsters is one Chamber Dragon Maid. This is 100% not my idea. Shout out to my boy Sonny P. I took a lot of inspiration and went through and looked at a lot of his lists. He's probably one of the best Dragon Link players I know in the game, and has really, really cool ideas. Maining one of this as a way to where you play around Nib going into seals to still get interruption is really, really powerful. So if you've not checked him out, I'll link him below. I'll link a couple of his videos. Really, really cool. If you want some more in-depth content specifically on Dragon Link, I would highly recommend him. So that's it for the monsters. I'll go ahead and clean this up and then shift into the spells a little bit here. For the spells, it's pretty straightforward. Triple quick launch, not much needs to say about here. Again, one of still the best starters / extenders in your deck. Quick launch is insane. That same realm, Chaos Space, probably still one of the craziest spells printed to this day. The ability to search, draw, link climb, put back, recycle all off one card is crazy. For our field spells, we're on the standard 1-in-1, one Ravine and one Boot Sector. Not much needs to be said about that. And then from there, the rest of the deck is non-engine. So this can be hand traps, disruption, consistency pieces, talents, whatever. But I'll show you kind of where I've landed with that. So We're on 3 Ash. Again, this is the staple hand trap of the format right now between Branded Despia, Cash, all those main places. Specifically, Ash is probably just the best card you can utilize. And in that same realm, triple Imperm. If you don't like Imperm, you could play Valor. Valor is a common in some of those structure decks. It's a little more accessible, and it's a light to pitch off Chaos Space. So if you want just more lights and darks, you could go that route. But again, I'm trying to play into talents and tactics and thrust, all those kinds of things as little as possible. And so Ash is probably the one main monster hand trap you need to run. After that, it can be whatever you want. But those are the 6 hand traps. And then I'm actually on triple tidying. You could play 1 or 2 just to search off with the Dragon Maid, but I really like hard opening this because it's kind of like a going first and going second tool when you think about people retroactively flipping floodgates on the following turn. This is kind of in that same realm where if you get stopped midway, it just really helps going first and going second. You can just do mid combo pieces and then use this to bait out any other negates that are left and then just keep going. So really cool card. I recommend at least one of it, especially in this build since you play the Chamber, but after that, we play the 1 Beast and the 1 Regained, and then the 40th card is just a called by. You could probably play a second Regained if you want. Again, you have the Bestial Lubellion. Again, this is another piece of the engine that's very, very forgiving. It's very helpful for me as I learn the deck to be able to recycle and compensate when I make mistakes and I'm learning. It's not really needed, especially if you don't have Lubellion, but overall, it's still a really solid engine that is really good to take advantage of and I think can be overlooked. And you just have a lot of ways in your deck to out floodgates or non-monster based things. So it's just really, really helpful. So after that, we have the main deck, like I said, nice 40 cards, and then we'll hop into the extra deck. Okay, for the extra deck, again, we'll start with the big links and then work our way down as usual. 1 access code and 1 Boral End. If there's no other reason to play a budget version of Dragon Link, it is truly the Boral End Dragon. The access code is nice, but is not necessarily needed. It's good. It's a little affordable, but still a bit expensive. But for only a few dollars, this is just like one of the best boss cards there ever is. I would say this is just nuts. It's like the main reason to play Dragon Link. It just does literally everything. So 1 Unicorn, pretty straightforward there. Something you go into either through normal Link climbing or through IP Masquerena. After that, we play double seals. In reality, you don't need 2 seals. In reality, the one card I could not come across, I'll show it on screen, is a triple burst. So you can get away with it, but in reality, I do think it's needed. So if you don't like that, you could always cut one of the seals for a triple burst. But in the same way, again, I've made this deck to be very like forgiving and used to as a new player. Having a second seals to go into midway through the game is actually really, really nice. Really not needed if you're good with the deck. But again, if you want something forgiving like I am, that's a good way to go. So after that, the rest are kind of utilities. 1 IP, 1 Romulus, obviously, to get the Ravine, 1 Quad Boral, and 1 Delindrius Dragon. All pretty straightforward there. And then the Link ones, just 1 Striker and 1 Pisty. Pisty still does come up enough, depending on how you're climbing and using your board. Again, this is another main reason why you want the triple burst as well. After that, for the Synchros, I'll move these out of the way here. We play 1 Baron and 1 Boreal Savage to kick things off. Sorry, my voice is going away. The 1 Baron is not super needed. Again, it's another expensive card that bumps up the deck's price unnecessarily. I have it in here mainly because of Ash, and you're playing Destrudo, and so you have some lines that can climb into it, but again, it's not needed. You could always replace this with a different Link 10 or Link 10, a different Syncro 10 if you want, like the Ice Jade. Well, not the Ice Jade one because that requires a water one. I believe it's either Stardust Warrior or Satellite Warrior is also a really solid one. I'll put the picture of the correct one on screen here, but you have some other options that are still budget yet very, very powerful. Baron did get a reprint just now, but again, it's still a little bit pricey, but again, you don't really need it. And then the last couple ones, Scarlight, just a great utility tool, especially for cards in time. And then 1 Ancient Fairy. We play the Destrudo. We play a couple field spells. I don't think there's any reason, any deck that can take advantage of this card, there's no reason not to. It just got a reprint as a rare. It's less than $1. Use it if you can abuse it while you can. This card is really, I think, on high potential to get banned again down the line when other crazy decks come out into the forefront. So That's it for the extra deck. That's it for the main deck. A quick and easy deck profile here on Dragon Link. If you're wanting to learn the deck, I think this is a really good spot to start. It's been very forgiving for me. It's been very helpful. It is kind of a complicated deck. The lines, how you play is very different. So overall, been having a lot of fun with that. But like I said, continue to support the channel. 1K is right around the corner. I have some really cool stuff planned. And with that said, I'll see you all in the next one. Later.